Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, the Lions get the win 24-6 over the Colts. The Lions haven't blown out everyone, but when they're firing on all cylinders, when they're firing on most cylinders, when they're firing on some cylinders, it really is something to watch. And my concern for them, they need to get into more rough and tumble, gut it out.
Yeah, like 24-6 is actually like kind of close for them as of late.
Right.
I mean, that's what it feels like.
The Vikings game was the one that went down to the wire.
The
and
Texans
they had to stop. Yeah, they had to come back from behind.
Right.
We forget about those.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that
built a little toughness.
Because you're going to get, unless it goes 85 Bears and you just blow everybody out in the postseason.
Well, your point is you worry about the Eagles
ready.
From a few years ago against the Chiefs.
You want to be ready.
Hosted into the playoffs. Right. They got an easy playoff draw. They had nobody really tested toughness game like that. And then they got to the Super Bowl. And that's why we picked the Chiefs, because we were like, they're ready for battle-tested tough game. And that's what you worry about with them. I hear you.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the AFC is going to earn it. The Lions are going to have, and this is good to have a tough Eagles team. Now, you may lose to them. That's the downside. You'd like to have the easiest path possible to the Super Bowl, but you want to be ready when you get to the Super Bowl to overcome a team that is going to take your best punches and not fold. They're going to be like Rocky. Which Rocky was it? When all of a sudden he's like talking shit to Mr. T. You ain't so bad. You ain't nothing. He's punching him. He's punching him and he's smacking him. Like,
you ain't so bad.
Yeah, you ain't so bad. Yeah. You ain't nothing.
Right here. Yeah, you ain't so bad. Yeah.
So anyway, that's what you don't want. You want a team that when you hit them, they're going to fall.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the Lions could get spoiled by.
Right.
Knockout. All of a sudden, Rocky's telling them, you ain't so bad, you ain't nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it is, well, that's how good they've gotten. That in a game like yesterday where they are controlling the game but not just absolutely blowing the doors open. We're kind of like, whoa, the Colts are doing a good job here. I mean, what they're doing overall net points, right, in the NFL and all that, to be at Week 12 and they're a 177 overall net points, right? This is something I look at as gauging you usually see the great teams of Super Bowl past or whatever have unbelievable overall net point margins, right? They're having an incredible one. It just speaks to how dominant they are. Yesterday was a little bit of a tough game. It wasn't easy. I mean, Shane Steichen and them, they know how to coach some football. The way they can put you in a bind running the ball with Anthony Richardson's ability to run the ball. And then, of course, his huge big arm to stretch the field, that can be stressful on a defense. And then Gus Bradley, even though that Colts defense isn't super, super great, Gus Bradley's the invention of Legion Boom. Ben Johnson's the ultimate, wait, I got this and I know they do this when I get in this formation. I'm going to come up with a play to really screw them over for an 80-yard touchdown. You can't do, that's the hard thing about the Seattle scheme and a Gus Bradley defense. It's hard to game plan creative stuff against them because they're so comfortable and so in tune with their two or three defenses they call over and over. It's hard to expose them. But eventually, just like we talk about with the Eagles, the Lions just lean on you, and it's only a matter of time before big plays start to happen and they start to break a game open.
It is weird to think that 24-6 doesn't feel
that's
like
what
that.
Right? That's what I'm saying. It's weird. That's
They've
how
got
good they
shades of. I mean, I try to think of past teams to compare them to. The 98 Vikings were like this, where it was just special, unstoppable, pick your poison.
But they don't want to hear that. Pick teams that won the Super Bowl.
Well, that's the point. Okay, so what's the last team that was wire-to-wire dominant that just waltzed right in and took the Super Bowl easily?
Ooh, that's a
dominant.
Wire-to-wire.
I mean, 99 Rams, is that it? I heard comparisons yesterday to the greatest show on turf.
I feel like we've had some after that.
The Patriots never did it. Patriots won 6, and they were never wire-to-wire dominant. The one year they were wire-to-wire dominant, they lost.
Yeah. 2016, they were damn good. Deflategate, his suspension year, but they got down 28-3 in the Super Bowl and come back to win. Hold on, we're missing
the Legion of Boom.
The Legion of Boom, Seattle 2013 might be close, but it wasn't.
It was defensive, not offensive.
Right, and they had to fight it out with the 49ers, so it wasn't like wire-to-wire dominance that way. Hey, it's a good question. I actually think we got to think about that a little bit more.
Feel free to let us know on social media or send me an email, Florio@profootballtalk.com. When's the last team that was wire-to-wire dominant that delivered a dominant Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And even the Rams didn't. The Rams only won by 7. It felt inevitable. I remember watching that game, and I was salty because the Rams had beaten the Vikings in the division round, so I was rooting for the Titans.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of sick of the whole greatest show on turf thing by then. But it always felt like the Rams
you're
were
making a good point in that you brought up the Vikings. The next most wire-to-wire dominant team that I actually can think of is the Carolina Panthers, who lost them to the Broncos in the Super Bowl. And there was and the Philadelphia Eagles, who we just talked about against the Chiefs. I mean, that you're as I'm sitting here, those were really the most dominant regular season teams I could think of that kind of just waltzed through everything, even the playoffs, and then got to the Super Bowl and went, oh no, we're in a battle. Oh no, the Broncos and that defense are making Cam Newton. He can't make the magical plays he had. So there's something to be said there. It's kind of an interesting discussion.
It's going to be a challenge for the Lions because ultimately they're going to be facing a team coming out of the AFC meat grinder, where any of the 7 teams that finally make it, especially the 7 that have emerged now, because the Broncos will be able to give you fits in the playoffs.
Definitely.
The Chargers will give you fits in the playoffs. The
Right.
Ravens, if they're the wild card, or the Steelers, if they're the wild card, will give you
if they
fits.
get in,
If the Dolphins somehow get in,
Yeah.
whoever gets out of that group is going to have earned it, and they're going to be ready to take whatever the Lions can give them.
Your thing with Detroit is real. I have a hard time. Their schedule, they got some tests in front of them. Like Green Bay, Buffalo still. We talked about the 49ers. They got the Vikings there. You would think out of those teams there, and even Chicago, that they get in a few battle-tested moments, and hopefully that gets them prepared for the playoff run. But
they got Chicago twice and then Murderers Row.
Yes, that's exactly right. So
assuming that the 49ers have any gas
going,
left.
that's gonna keep the pedal on the metal for the Detroit Lions.
But I still think they're going to keep winning. And right now, like a few weeks ago, you give me Lions in the field, it would have been Lions, no question. Now Lions in the field, mainly because of Saquon Barkley and the Eagles.
Eagles are making
I'd have to think twice about it.
Yeah.
And still.
And I think Buffalo is actually looking to be a force in the AFC too.
Yeah.
I mean, let alone, like you said, there's a lot of other teams there that I think are going to have something to say too. But yeah, I hear you there. Still the best team in the game. Still really what do you look at Detroit and really question? I think there's still only maybe one question about them. It's just going to be that 4-man pass rush and all of that as we go forward when they play high-flying offensive football teams. Good win for them yesterday. Wasn't easy. Anthony Richardson, again, has moments, but you can see he's still got to fix some things. 11 for 28. It's an odd stat line to see in the NFL at the starting quarterback position. We see it a lot with him, but we also see some wowness from him that's unmatched by anybody in football.
Here's one.
Yeah.
The team that ruined itself when it drafted you the next year, the Buccaneers.
You're right.
2002.
They were
beat the shit. Sorry, London.
Yeah.
Out of the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
Exactly right. That would have been one of them, certainly.
But
defensively, again, exactly right. And they played an Eagles team in the NFC Championship game that I don't think people thought they were at that time going to just walk over them, right? I don't think people looked at them as wire-to-wire dominant that year.
Right.
They were dominant in the Super Bowl, but it was like, man, Brad Johnson, John Gruden's first year coaching the Bucs, right? The offense wasn't killing it throughout the year. There was questions still, but yeah, it was a dominant Super Bowl win.
That really is something that I haven't thought much about, and it was kind of a facet of the 70s. There would be the wire-to-wire dominant team, and that's what Pete Rozelle hated. And they've tried to set up the NFL so it can't happen.
Right.
They don't want wire-to-wire dominant.
No,
they
80s,
want a greater sense of parity.
Right. I mean, the 80s, we saw that. It was the Giants, the Washington
49ers.
team, the Bears, the 49ers every year. They won the Super Bowl for like 10 years straight. And then the Cowboys got involved in the 90s, and it really was done, it's the Cowboys or the 49ers, for a few years. And then the Packers just got involved a little bit. And so, yes, it's a different era now than it was back then, and maybe we won't see that nearly as much as we once did.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.